Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Steve Johnson, and I want to welcome all of you, especially those who are members of my YouTube channel, Psychotherapy, Education, and Training, and who support this, support the work that I do. So thank you very, very much for all that you do. Today, I want to look at a topic that I don't think I've covered too much before, and that is couples conflict timeout. It's not uncommon in psychotherapy, among some psychotherapists to have a couples conflict timeout, especially when clients are having trouble with arguments, and to help them stay kind of regulated and proceed to decrease conflict in the relationship and have more satisfying conflict, because we'll all experience conflict. But sometimes in the effort to, have a timeout, we reinforce the conflict. And when would that be the case? And again, this would not be the desired consequence, but it would be a secondary and kind of unintended consequence. What we often do in that situation is, as soon as someone feels as though they're moving toward a conflict, they could declare a timeout, and then they would break, the other one wouldn't pursue them, and then they would go off and calm down. Sounds good. However, if over time, every time somebody felt as if the conflict would result in a dysfunctional argument, and they haven't developed ways to change that, then they would rely upon this timeout, which could be initially helpful, but over time could just be a form of avoidance and never get to resolving the issue. And we certainly don't want to do that. Again, timeout could be important, but if over time we are simply supporting avoidance, that is not a maximally effective timeout. So what happened is that, I know quite some time ago, I changed that structure of a timeout to another form that was more effective. It's dated, but it is often used today, but it was more effective than just breaking and going their separate ways and treating the timeout as a form of avoidance. So let's look at this structured timeout that is more effective, how we beefed that up a little bit more. The parts of that timeout were several components that not negotiable, right? Is that someone who is experiencing the kind of uproar within them, the physiological arousal, and senses that the pattern of the discussion is such that they saw when they were moving toward an out-and-out argument, right? And they were getting physiologically really aroused, they would announce that they wanted a timeout. The agreement is that the other individual would go along with that and not pursue and try to get the conversation to continue. That the individual who names the timeout, everyone complies. However, the individual who does name the timeout has the responsibility for setting a time frame on that, right? And that time frame could be really, really important. And so it would be, for example, I feel as though we're moving toward a unhelpful argument. So what I would like is to have a 1 hour timeout, and that we use that time effectively so that when we come back, we are not so physiologically aroused. So the next thing that was done then was to decide what would be done within that timeout period. Well, there are some things that we wouldn't want to see, but there are things that we would want to see. One of the things that was helpful in that advancement of the timeout protocol is that the individuals would engage in grounding exercises. And there are some really good grounding exercises. One of my preferences is the grounding exercises as suggested by Lisa Najavitz, who created the model Seeking Safety. And she divides grounding into several different types. There could be cognitive grounding, there could be kind of physical grounding, and there could be more soothing grounding. And I highly recommend that if you go on, do a Google search on the grounding exercises in Seeking Safety by Lisa Najavitz, you'll get a wonderful, wonderful handout with all kinds of examples. And all of these are forms of distraction, right? But helpful forms of distraction, okay? Now, after the grounding exercises, because the individual announced the time frame for that, the individual who called the timeout reinitiates connection. They reconnect with the other individual, okay? And so why do we do this? We want a time frame on it so that it doesn't come across as a power play by the other individual. They may have things that they wanted to talk about, but the grounding exercises and all of that disrupt what they wanted to say so that there could be better regulation and that the argument wouldn't escalate. Okay. So there are, as I said, there are some things, however, not to do within that grounding time frame, that timeout. And so what would be some of those things not to do? One, don't use that time to ruminate or just go over and over it in your head on the argument. Don't play out the argument over and over. That's not going to decrease physiological arousal. Another thing is, don't brainstorm how to convince the other partner what they need to change. You know, that, okay, what you need to do is change and follow the way I want you to change. Or play out in your mind how you can prove that the other one was the cause of the initial movement toward the argument. Those are unhelpful ways to use that time. It could cause more physiological arousal than regulation. We want physiological regulation, emotional regulation here. Okay, so we don't want to think about what is wrong in the relationship and how it is the fault of the other individual. Now, this is an improvement over that original model of timeout. Remember that original one? Someone declares the timeout, they break, and then they physiologically calm down. And as I said, the problem with is that that doesn't get at how to change that into something that's just mere avoidance. And if we're stuck with that as a mere avoidance, can you imagine every time we're moving toward a regulation, then we have to engage in that avoidance behavior by just going to different parts of the house, etc. Not real helpful in the long run, helpful maybe in the short range. And so, in the short range. So what the better improvement on that model was in the middle, right, is to do some grounding exercises. Now, what I propose is another iteration on that has us do something after the grounding. And what that is an REBT-based addition to the model. And so this comes after we've already helped the clients learn the ABC model. Now remember, I don't want to go into the ABC model in great depth, but if you've been exposed to it, you know that the A stands for the activating event. What happened that is moving to the individuals having an argument? Activating event. B would be the beliefs about that situation or event, that activating event, that then give rise, cause, whatever, the emotions and behaviors, and even the physiological responses that are not helpful in the argument at all. So we want to have the clients during the timeout first do the grounding and then shift to the ABC model to help change those beliefs that maybe caused and, more importantly, maintain the conflict over time. Now, again, grounding is great, but grounding is a distraction. We want, by the use of the ABC model, to identify and change those beliefs that initially caused and maybe maintain the conflict. So what do? One, we identify the problematical thought. What would be an example of some typical problematical thoughts that might maintain the propensity toward an argument? Well, one might be, you absolutely have to listen to me and realize that you are at fault. So that would be kind of demandingness. Another kind of unhelpful thought would be, is your response to me was utterly intolerable. I couldn't stand it. You were wrong for saying what you said. Or another one could be, this is awful, this is terrible, this is horrible what you did. That's going to maintain the conflict and the physiological arousal. And the other one would be, you know what? You are the one at fault and you are always the one at fault. Again, that global negative rating of that other individual, your partner or whatever, is certainly not helpful in that situation. So, but we identify what those unhelpful beliefs are, and we have ways within REBT to help you identify those. So I would recommend that maybe you check one of the other videos that I have on psychotherapy education and training, or the wonderful work that is done by the Albert Ellis Institute that has all kinds of support and even workshops on how to do that. Well, once we identify those conflict supporting or causing beliefs, we want to challenge them. So for example, one challenge that I like is what we call a functional challenge. An example might be, you should absolutely listen to me. You have to do that. Instead of that, go, wait, how helpful is it for me to make a demand on the individual that they absolutely have to listen? Well, if you make a demand, often people don't cohere. And if they don't cohere, you just set yourself up for some kind of emotional disturbance. So it's not helping to resolve the issue. Or what if you said, this is horrible, this is absolutely terrible, what you did that caused the escalation? Well, if you believe that it is terrible and horrible, it's not going to be helpful. But what if you challenged it? How is it helpful for me right now, right here, to believe that, and even say it, that this is terrible and horrible? Probably not. that's going to maintain the propensity toward greater conflict. Or what if they have what we would call frustration intolerance? This is too much and I can't stand it. I can't stand it when in a situation you say this about me. Okay? Common, normal, I guess, but certainly not helpful, because if you hold that I can't stand it-itis belief, then you're going to be setting yourself up for emotional disturbance. So what might be the challenge? I don't like it when you say that in that kind of a situation. I don't like it at all. I wished you didn't do that, but I will get through this. Okay? I don't like it. I very much don't like it. We don't want to make it sound weak. I don't like it. I very much don't like it. I wish you said something different or acted differently, but if you don't, I will get through this. Okay? That's more rational. Or you're always doing this. You are horrible at interacting with me and you just cause me to get upset. Well, if we globally rate that individual, how compliant does that other individual want to be for someone who's just globally rated them? So instead of globally rating them, we might take another position, and that would be unconditional other acceptance, right? I think that what you did was a mistake and it wasn't real helpful, but you know what? That doesn't describe all of you. You're not intolerable. You're not a failure. You're not a horrible human being. You're a human being who occasionally makes mistakes, or maybe several times you make mistakes. That kind of belief will help to de-escalate us. So we challenge it, right? And so the challenge then is, what do? We replace it. So that's what I just talked about. So we identify our dysfunctional beliefs, our unhelpful beliefs that contribute to the conflict and may even maintain and escalate it. We identify it, we challenge it, and then we replace it. So instead of the demanding, we go, I don't like it. I wish you didn't do it. Wish, want, hope, desire. Strongly wish, want, hope, and desire, but without demanding it. Instead of awfulizing and catastrophizing, we go, I don't like it. I don't like it at any level, but I can tolerate it, right? And instead of, I can't stand this. This is too much. Then we embrace the belief that, again, I don't like it, but I can stand it. I've stood it before. I'm not going to drop dead. I will be upset, okay? But I can stand it. That makes us more resilient. And actually, when we respond, we're not escalating the argument up, okay? So identify it, challenging it, and replacing that belief, okay? So the other thing is, what do we do after that? Well, REBT has all kinds of techniques so that you can get a handle on it. And I'm going to mention those, and you can look at those within some of my videos on these very topics. One is rational emotive imagery, okay? And quite simple. You do this outside the repair of the relationship, okay? Now, before I get there, I want to go back to the timeout protocol. Someone announces that it looks as though we're moving in the direction of an argument, major conflict. Let's take a timeout for about an hour. During that time, we do grounding, cognitive restructuring, we identify, we challenge and replace those unhelpful beliefs. And then what we do then is at the end of that hour, the individual who called the timeout goes to the other individual and says, would you like to talk about it now? By that time, we hope that you were more regulated, you've identified the unhelpful beliefs, and you're working to replace those, okay? So that you can have a conversation that is not as dysfunctional. Well, what if we wanted to practice? Then we do that rational emotive imagery, maybe throughout the week. Typically, I will have them do it every day until we get a grasp on that. And it's a matter of practice anyway. And so what we do in rational emotive imagery is each of them in their own space will go over the same argument, right? And then what we do is we would say, I want you to visualize that same argument. I want you to experience the emotion that you were experiencing. I saw a couple today, and they both said they felt a high frustration and anger. So I said, and so visualize it, and then do what you can to get in touch with that high frustration and anger. As soon as you are able to do that, stop the visualization and calm down. When you're a bit calmer, go do part 2, which is visualize the same event or situation about which the argument was escalating, right? And so then this time I say, but what I want you to do is to experience annoyance rather than anger, okay? Just be annoyed. And I want you to get in touch with that as best you can. As soon as you get in touch with that annoyance, not anger, but annoyance, then I want you to stop. And then what I'd like for you to do is think about what changes did you make within you so that you shifted from the experience of anger to the experience of annoyance. And they are, and why does this help? Well, often people think that they have no control over their emotions. So they're learning that, as they're able to shift from one to the other and how they did it, they're learning to have better control over their own emotional state. It takes practice. It's not always easy. We practice it for maybe 10 minutes every day, and then give yourself a little reward for really putting in the time so that you get greater facility and capability in making that really important shift. And we don't tell them what they should do, how they should go about it. We don't say change your thoughts. We just say try to make yourself feel this, other emotion, and then identify how you made that shift. Maybe you changed your belief. Maybe you directly tried to change the emotion. Maybe you thought, okay, I visualized myself, right, as engaged in that, but staying calm. That's what I did. So whatever it was, if it worked, then begin to use that more frequently and use it in your arguments, okay? So that's one thing that we can do. The other thing is to look at how we can put this into daily practice, okay? Now, I am so happy. Studio.com reached out to me and asked if I would explore some things to do with couples that could help reduce conflict. And so I developed for them an app that I really, really enjoyed it. And believe me, I was not a big fan of apps. I'd be quite honest about that. Not proud of it. That was my bias. And so I developed this app based upon REBT and neuropsychology. And I found that it was quite helpful, quite good. I had people go through this and take a look at it, and it got great feedback. And there's a lot of support for it. And what you do is you go on the app, you define the kind of conflict you're having, the conflict, and then what would you like to achieve? And once that's all spelled out, it doesn't take that long. It's done in the first time you meet. And then you can say whether you want to do it alone or you want to do it with the couple. Fine. Most will choose the couple. And then what they can do is every day they will have different sets of activities, none of which takes a lot of time. Maybe they will describe an argument they had, and then they may get feedback on the ways they could improve it. Not just what I gave here, the timeout protocol, but a lot of other interventions. And it will measure progress. And if people say, you know what, I'm not getting all of this, can you give me some more ideas of things that could be done? It will do that. And let's say it hits you at 11 o'clock at night that you really wanted to work on it now at late because you didn't have time earlier in the day. This app is open 24/7, and then you can get all kinds of feedback. You can go back, you can move forward, you can move back and get some more information. It's quite flexible. So I'm very, very happy about it. And so I've put on the screen, it's scrolling right now, is that the app is called Harmonious Love. And all you do is go to studio.com and you will, and I've given you the URL for that. And if you go there, then you can get a feel for the app. It's quite affordable. And so thank you. If there are any comments, feel free to ask those. If no comments, then I want to thank all of you so that you took time out of your day to get this kind of information, get an update on that. And I hope some of you will consider joining the channel, Psychotherapy Education and Training, so that you can get some of the benefits that come with joining, like early views on all kinds of videos that I create. I also send handouts. Those of you who are on this today who have joined, you will get a handout, and you'll even get a handout for your clients. If you're a counselor, a coach, or psychotherapist, we'll give you one of those handouts. And then there are live streams that are devoted only to members of this channel. So again, thank you so much. I hope you found some of this helpful. Take a look at Harmonious Love on studio.com. Maybe you or some of your clients may benefit from that. Have a great day, and I do look forward to seeing you at upcoming workshops. Thanks so much.